Welcome back to Crescent City Community College to work on your Masters in the Maasverse. Our current course is focused on Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah Janet Maas. Today, we are chatting chaps 73 through 80.
Warning, while we may be your giggling gal pals, we don't recommend listening to this this podcast around little ears or ears that may be offended because we say bad words and shitty things.
Yeah,
Now,
guys, don't listen to your ear pods.
what's wrong with me? Like, solid start, really.
Sorry.
Now, relax those shoulders, unclench those jaws, clench that clam, and let's get into it.
Chapter 73. Hunt was posted up at the summit. Reminder, each territory in Midgard held their own summit every 10 years. So this one, they were at the Samathi Desert, and he had spent the last 5 days there. When he was delivered his breakfast tray, a set of black clothes had arrived. Veneer of every house filled the space. Angels, shifters, fae, witches, the whole gang's there. Fury was there, whatever she is. Meeting roll call. Pollux, the harpy, the hellhound, the hawk, all members of Sandriel's triari, but no sign of the hind. Isaiah and Naomi were in attendance. Shifters, that bitch Amelia. Other groups except humans, duh. Jessica, looking fab per usual. Queen Hypaxia, other witches. Oh wait, Hunt actually knows her. She's the med witch from the clinic. Ah shit, the drums. Mare leaders with Therian. Sabich and the Prime. Autumn King and Rune. 49 angels of the steering guard who were sent as a reminder of who their master was. Micah and Sandriel walked in and everyone bowed. Sans the 49 angels, they only bowed to the stary.
I want to talk about Hypaxia for a moment. Like, yay, it's finally established who she is, first and foremost, even though I've been spoiling it this whole book. But it said, rumor had it that Queen Hecuba had raised her deep in the boreal forest of the Heliruna Mountains. First, boreal is Arctic, relating to northern regions, so we know they're somewhere far north in Pangea. She's wearing cloudberries, which are rare Arctic berries. The only reason I'm tying this to witches is because a lead when Manon sets her loose in the Oakwall to find Aelin, she's constantly looking for berries, which she learned from her nursemaid to scavenge for them. But if you look up berries in Throne of Glass, the majority of references include Elid. Where is she from? Paranth. Where's Paranth? North Aurelia. What else do they have? Mountains. But I love the name for mountains because Helirunus, which has several variations in spelling, were Gothic witches who appeared in Gothic history. The early Goth king Philimir found witches among his people when they had settled north of the Black Sea, and that he banished them to exile. They were impregnated by unclean spirits and endangered the Huns, and the account is a precursor of later Christian traditions where wise women were alleged to have sexual intercourse and even orgies with demons and the devil, which sounds like a good time to me.
Right.
But let's talk etymology and why all this matters. The first element in the word is Halju, which is, I'm guessing, Halja?
How'd you?
Anyways, it means hell, aka hell, the abode of the dead. But it also has been suggested that does not refer to the realm of the dead, but instead directly to Hel, the goddess of the dead. Hel in Old Norse mythology is said to preside over an underworld realm of the same name, where she receives a portion of the dead. Her underworld is also known as Niflheim, and I know I'm saying that wrong, but it sounds cuter when I say it, which is a world of mist. I'm just saying we keep coming back to witches and hell and how they're all connected. And I want to know how Fury Axtar is involved too.
The world of mist is definitely interesting too.
I know
Thank you.
it's all connected.
Mhm. The meeting was cavernous and felt like the pit of hell. All the importants took their seats at the central table and their seconds at the table closest to them, and so on. The vid screens came on. There were crystal halls, torches of first light dancing on the carved quartz pillars rising toward arched ceilings, 7 crystal thrones arranged in a curve on the golden dais, a twinkling city beyond them, the hills rolling away into dimming light. A Tiber, a river between the hills. Everyone rose and knelt as the Starry came into frame. These bitches were powerful. Hunt looked to see who else dared to lift their eyes from the gray carpet. Tharian, Rune, Declan, and Queen Hypaxia. Rune met Hunt's stare and spoke in his mind. Bold move. He told Hunt that it was a gift from his mother's kin, one he kept a secret. Rune tells Hunt that he can't be seen talking to him, but if he needs anything, let him know. Hunt asked him why he would help him. He tells him it's because he would have done anything in his power to make sure Bryce didn't trade herself to Sandy, and he thinks he's less than an asshole now. He asks how Bryce is doing and then asks if he knew the med witch was Hypaxia, and the answer is no, he fucking didn't. Sneaky little minx.
That is referencing how the business meeting is like 7 levels of hell, and then says Fury Axtar, to his surprise, took up a spot in the 3rd circle, leaning back in her chair. No one else accompanied her, and I just want to keep a pulse check on this reference.
Mm-hmm.
Specific. Rune is Demati. Just wanted to point that out. I just wanted to point out the term from ACOTAR, especially since he'd known there were occasional telepaths out there among the Fae, especially the ones who dwelled in Avellan, and we will be getting into the Avellan Fae more in the next books.
Just to note, they said Rune, he could have very well been one of the first Starborn with that coloring of his. Might have been one of the first through the Northern Rift so long ago. Like Kai says, we will dive a lot deeper into this in the next book and theories with it, just making a little detail. Now, the Autumn King, what? Sorry.
Well, just like saying he's Starborn with the coloring, I'm picturing Edward Cullen now, like he's sparkly.
I didn't picture that. I'm just picturing Reese, a tan boy. Now, the Autumn King has an onyx crown, the ancient stone like a piece of night, even in the light of morning. Onyx is obviously often compared to night because of its coloring, but the onyx for me reminds me of, well, it could go one of 2 ways: the Night Court or even from hell. Onyx is in these books a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many descriptors specifically of Reese and the term onyx.
Onyx, yeah. Like when I was doing my search, I'm like, night, 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 night court, night court. The Steri recognized Hypaxia and anointed her as the queen of the Valvaran witches. The Steri told them they may begin, and may the blessings of the gods and all the stars in heaven shine upon them, and they hope that they can discuss a way to end the war. Rigela stared at Hunt right in the eyeballs, and he kept that stare. Sandriel tried warning him with her icy wind, but after Rigela smiled at him, his blood turned to ice. The Steri pieced out. Everyone needed a minute after that, and then Micah straightened and called the summit to order.
I just want to point out Hypaxia's government name, Enador, seemingly is derived from the Greek Endora, meaning enchantress or spirit of magic, often associated with supernatural or otherworldly traits. What a name.
What a name. They also make mention of her mother who passed away, Hecuba, and I just want to point out in Greek mythology who that was. So Hecuba was the wife of King Priam and the queen of Troy during the Trojan Wars. With Priam, she was the mother of the warriors Hector and Troilus and Helen's suitors Paris and the prophetess Cassandra. So if you have seen the movie starring Brad Pitt, her sons were Eric Bana and Orlando Bloom as Sniveling Paris. But both are very, very hot, and maybe the hottest Brad Pitt has ever looked. Just want to point that out. Have you seen it?
I have not. And now I don't have time for movies.
No, I don't watch. I mean, that movie came out in like 2001, so it was a long time ago. But so he's so hot in it, which was funny because yesterday I was scrolling and I randomly got a reel. This is when I started getting obsessed with Greek mythology, and it was Brad Pitt and all of his abs naked. And I'm like, makes sense.
That's definitely what they all looked like, all of them back in the day.
It is in my brain. I hope they are.
They're all like sweaty and oily and ready for the one.
Oh, yeah, he was so tan. Yeah. Eric Bana's hot too, though, so I take him. And my feelings on Orlando, even though we've seen him naked now, I don't like the characters Orlando plays.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
they're like betas, you know?
He
Like
needs
Will
something
Turner.
different.
Yeah, like it
Yeah.
just Troy kind of sucks. So, yeah. So they talked about the insignia of Lunathion, which is a crescent moon bow. As we approach wrapping up this series, I just want to revisit the theory that Luna is, in fact, Deanna from Tog. I talk about this again later in the episode, but just pointing it out.
Like, let's
A
plant that seed now.
little seed planting right there.
You're a gardener, Blake. I almost said farmer, but
Nope. So there's 49 angels in the Styrian Guard. That number 49 coming back up. Sarah really loves the symbolism of the number 7. 7 times 7, 49. We also see an ACOTAR with Tamlin and the 49 years. I actually called Kylie after church and I was like, hey, at church they were talking about the number 7 and it being the holy number. And I literally started thinking about the Maasverse at church. So crazy.
easy.
The last summit the last summit Hunt attended had been in an ancient sprawling palace in Pangaea, bedecked in the riches of the empire, silk tapestries, sconces of pure gold, goblets twinkling with precious stones, and succulent meats crusted in the rarest spices. The glass and metal palace was sprawling. And I really it comes back to Tog for me. Sounds like
We'll
Aurelia.
expand on it more.
Yeah, I sure will. So when Hunt first experienced this Steri for the first time, this is what he said. I'm just painting the picture because they will be coming more into the series. Like the next 2 books, we talk about them a lot. So the first time he'd experienced them, he didn't think he'd experienced anything worse, unearthly. And if his entire existence were a mayfly, his power, but a wisp of a breeze in the face of the hurricane as if he'd been hurled into deep space. Each held the power of a sacred star. Each could level this planet, yet there was no light in their cold eyes. So yeah, they're definitely not good.
It's giving Valg
Mm-hmm.
from Throne of Glass with the dead eyes.
And I believe Valg and Asteri are cousins. They're not the same
I knew
to
you
me.
were gonna say cousins. I felt it in my bones.
I just think that's what they are. Like, is they're like cousins. They're not the same. Valg is less powerful than Asteri to me, but both kind of
A
the
little
same
watered
parasite.
down.
Yeah, like we got the parasite type vibe. So the another line. All hail the Asteri and the stars they possess, shining crystal palace in a city of 7 hills. Even here, there is no escaping them. Obviously, we have the hills for the Asteri, but in real life, Rome is considered the city of 7 hills, which has a river called the Tiber, which I talked about earlier. So the Eternal City also has a river called that. Rome is largely built on top of an ancient city or the ruins of the city previous. So for our theory to make sense that Crescent City world is built on the ruins of the Throne of Glass world, it does in fact check out.
Nice. I love not reading what you say, and it's like, yes, good job.
Way to prove our points.
Chapter 74. Bryce is a bastard princess, but she is our bastard princess. Watching the news, she saw Hunt was alive, so that's cool. She also doesn't have to worry about the debt she almost had from purchasing Hunt as a high-end escort, so that's cool too. She knew Hunt didn't mean the nasty things he said to her, so she slept in his bed every night. Bryce received a letter from the comitium, and Bryce got real excited thinking Hunt snuck a letter out. But it was Isaiah returning the opal to her with a "he's sorry" at the end, which clearly made Bryce more sad. Lahaba pointed out that she was looking rough and told her that they were going to get through this. Bryce tells Lahaba that she is a good friend and is actually nice to her for once.
I just honestly appreciate Bryce and Hunt's relationship. They just get each other. Like they both lied about a lot. And there just isn't a lot of judgment towards it. she could tell what he said the last time that they were together was bullshit, and she didn't hold it against him because she would have done the exact same to make sure that he stayed safe. And just her sleeping in his bed, wearing his t-shirts. Like, our poor girl has it so bad.
His dress shirts that go down to her knees.
Oh. It's just,
I wonder how the breeze is with the slits on the back for his wings. That'd
oh,
be
I
cool.
always forget about that. Yeah. Well,
Like,
and
does
then
it show her butt cheek?
yeah, because I mean, those wings are long, right?
The wings, how they attach to the body, is it only a little bit or is a lot of it? Because that would affect the slit holes. What a sentence.
Unclear, Kylie. Unclear. But if she wanted to make it spicy, she could turn it around and then her boobies could pop out.
Just a little.
Just little, she could wear little tassels. I hate myself too.
I think that's exactly what they did in their free time
Probably.
later. So.
Mm. I just really love Bryce and Lahaba's friendship growth. That's all I really have to say is I just think they're cute.
I am so glad that Bryce apologized to Lahaba for being a dick to her.
Me too.
Foreshadowing.
I'm not ready. Chapter 75. So the vibe of the summit was chlorophyll, more like borophyll. If you know that reference, you're a real one. Roan was bored. Not a lot of drums at the summit. Sandriel told them all that the Styria is ordering more troops to the front from every house. Talk really was in circles, and they talked about trade proposal. Most people were bored, and only a few people were holding out. The Thottam King, Mayor, and the witches. Rune went up to Hypaxia, his soon-to-be betrothed, and was like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, you didn't ask. He asked her why she was in the shop, and she explained that her sources told her there was evil stirring in the city, and she came to see for herself discreetly. He asked if she knows his father's plans for them, and she's like, yeah, but I'm not considering such changes in my life right now. Not with anyone.
My sources told me that evil was stirring in this city. I came to see for myself discreetly. The sources are interesting that Hypaxia has. Maybe she's homies with Fury behind closed doors. Who knows? Because the witches are fucking associated with hell and Fury is associated with hell. So they could be hidden homies.
She's been called away, and Sandy had no issue with taking charge of the meeting. The River Queen's daughter and Therian made a case for why they don't want to allow building a canal for the transport of tanks. Sandriel tells them they will be compensated, but Therian is concerned for the environment. Hypaxia goes to bat for them and says that when the Sorvakian War took place 2,000 years ago, the coral and kelp beds were destroyed and they were compensated for a couple seasons, but they still haven't returned. So who will pay for those 1,000 seasons? And what of the creatures who live there? Sandriel doesn't care about them because they're lowers. The two have a steering contest. Hypaxia wins. Oh, also Hunt's really fucking bored.
I love that Hypaxia and Therian were just like fucking around and that they both stood up to that bitch Sandy. Like, I love that. And that Sandy looked away from Hypaxia. Good on her.
I like it too because those were the people that also had no problem looking at the stary. Like they're like, what's up? They're the real.
I love Therian. He's so great.
I have loved Therian since my first read, and you were the same. Where even in later books, when he makes some silly decisions, I'm still like, I don't care. Way better than Ethan for me.
Fuck Ethan. He's a little bullshit. Thank God he's like not that much in this book, but I'm gonna eat crow because obviously we see more of him.
We see a lot more of him.
We're gonna just suffer.
Is it next book where he really, yeah.
Ethan's a whiny bitch, guys.
Sure is.
Chapter 76. Ready to get stressed out because it's all happening. Bryce is pretty much living at the gallery because why go home? Plus, Jessica was at the summit, not watching the cameras. She was in the clear to walk around pantless if she wanted to. She was showering there and even took the last Arquesian mullet. amulet in the gallery and the territory. It was the last amulet in the gallery and in the whole territory. That was one of the worst mess ups, but also best.
So the amulet, there's only 5 of those left in the world. So the one Bryce had made 6 that was destroyed, which makes you wonder who had the 7th, because you know there was a 7th.
It's a holy number.
I feel like there has to be one maybe missing. Or maybe it was destroyed.
Maybe it was eaten with somebody.
Maybe. But I
Took you a
just want
second to connect what I was talking about.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
One of the Asteri was eaten, guys.
I got it.
She was really in a burn it all down mode because she was applying to other jobs and even had 2 interviews lined up, all while still trying to figure out a way to help Sexy Hunt out. Don't worry, the knock is reminding us he's still there and is still a creep. An even creepier creep showed up, though. Croc wearing Micah. Micah claims the front door was just open. Bryce is like, want me to call Jessica? But remember, she's at the summit where he is supposed to be. She was like, want to see some cool art? He's like, no, I'm here for you, bestie. We then get back to the summit, and what's the haps there? Jessica checks her phone and then asks Declan to put what's on her phone on the big screen. But what everyone sees is the gallery, Bryce, and Micah. Bryce is serving him up cheese and wine, but everyone sees the help text from her. Daddy thought and was like, send an aux unit. Look at him being a good dad. There is hope for redemption for this slutty hottie. Micah mentions Danica, and even Lucius Malfoy Light wants to send a pack. Micah is being a dick in general and then calls out, these books harbor a one-way ticket to execution, acting like he knows how to read. He then is like, don't you realize that this is the Parthos library, dummy? We then get the story of Parthos and what happened. So let's talk about it. 15,000 years ago, the Asteri swung their dicks and wanted to be the best. The books from the Library of Parthos had books on evolution, mathematics, and theories to disprove the superiority of the Vanir and the Asteri. Some from philosophers people claimed existed before the Asteri arrived. All the knowledge of the ancient world, of a world before Asteri, and theories of a world in which the Vanir are not the masters. While humans were marching to save the library, they loaded what they could onto ships and vanished. It was a record of 2,000 years before the Asteri arrived. So I think that potentially Parthos is this famed Parvani library from the west coast of the southern continent in Throne of Glass. The Parvani library is located in the city of libraries in Balrune. The Torah Chesme was the domain of healers, which we know both are older than the library and Ritold, thanks to Urine confirming it in Tower of Dawn. The Parvani was the domain of knowledge. It is on the coast, so it'd be easy to load books into ships and just vanish. Just to allow some dates to line up, because they spoke of records for 2,000 years before the Asteri arrived, Urine is in the library and had parchment that she referenced as 100 years old. She was corrected by Nusha that it was 10 times that, aka 1,000 years old. The Torah itself is 1,500 years old.
And I just wanted to note that the Parvani means full moon or the day of the new moon. I'm only mentioning this due to the gods, Lunathion, Luna and Deanna, like just putting that little fun nugget there. And I really enjoy this theory about the library. I have a whole different theory about Parthos that includes the bone carver, but I have to wait till next book. But I like where your head's at with this being the library, because I think even myself just goes with it's the Tor Chesme, and that's what I go with, and without looking into it. But I think you're right. Good job, Kai.
Thanks.
Cool.
Don't worry, we get more into it.
Oh, I know. I know.
Micah goes on monologuing like the villain that he is, and Jessica's like, save those books, please. Sandy's being a bitch, though. No surprise there. They're still watching, and Declan pulls up another feed where they can see her point to Lahava and Syrinx to get the fuck out of there. Then they hear Micah say, you might as well be civilized about it, and you giving me Luna's horn. I love a dramatic ending to a chapter.
I agree. Chapter 77. Buckle up, guys. It's a long one. Bryce knows this ain't ending well. She just was living on a hope and a prayer that Jespa had seen her messages and the enchantments would protect the books. Bryce denied knowing where the horn is, and the governor wasn't having it. He went on again with his evil monologuing, telling her that he thinks she figured it out like he did a few days ago. Bryce was like, I have no idea why Danica would want the horn. It was broken. But Micah was like, it was cleaved, and I'm sure you figured out we could repair it with the synth. She changed the subject and told him it was a private property, and if he wanted to kill her, he will need a warrant. The evil governor was like, hand it over, bitch. Over at the summit, Hunt staggered all one step down the stairs before Sandriel stopped him with her wind magic. Gallery. Micah growled in her ear, asking if she wanted to know how he figured it out, arrogantly touching her back. Summit. Hunt is big mad and wants to kill Micah for that back touch. Gallery. Micah tells her he watched the footage of Sandriel destroying her Arcasian amulet, and that's when he realized, and probably her too. He goes on insulting her that Danica knew you had never taken the amulet off and had no drive to leave that place. But 1 hour after taking the amulet off, the Crystallis attacked you. With his hand on her neck, he says, you don't have the horn, you are the horn. You became it when Danica had it ground into fine powder and tattooed into your back with ink. Bryce is like, actually, the tattoo says the governor cuts her off. The language is beyond that of this world. It is the language of the universes, and it spells out a direct command to activate the horn through a blast of raw power upon the tattoo itself, just as it once did for the Starborn Prince. You may not possess his gifts like your brother, but I believe your bloodline and the synth shall compensate for it when I use my power upon you. To fill the tattoo, to fill you with power, is in essence to blow the horn. Bryce says, below me, asshole, and slams her head back and head-butted the fuck out of his nose. John would have been
I
proud.
love it.
I know. Me too.
No back shots for her. Not yet.
Not yet.
All I could think of during all this is like girls getting a back shot left and right. It said Micah's not an it, Micah's he. The language is beyond that of this world. It is the language of universes. So let's go back to Throne of Glass. Nusha from Tower of Dawn was fluent in 15 languages, some that were dead and had trained at the Parvani Library. Interesting character because she always found Urine info that she needed and had been at the Tour Chesme for decades. She had a book shelved near her, Elwie books in a language that she couldn't read. It was Wyrdmarks, which makes me believe that Wyrdmarks are the language of the universes, and that is what Bryce's tattoo is written in. There's no confirmation. So for everyone who's like, duh, we can only speculate until SJM tells us otherwise.
But we're on
And we
board.
know what?
I said, but we're on board with that, as always.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Wyrdmarks were used in ACOTAR too. Pharaoh's Cottage, for example, the gravestones of the cottage revealing the faded ward markings etched around the threshold. My father had once convinced a passing charlatan to trade the engravings against the fairy harm in exchange for one of his wood carvings. There was so little that my father was ever able to do for us that I hadn't possessed the heart to tell him the engravings were useless and undoubtedly fake. Mortals didn't possess magic, didn't possess any of the superior strength and speed of fairies or high fae. The man claimed some high fae blood in his ancestry, had just carved the whorls and swirls and runes around the door and windows, muttered a few nonsense words, and ambled on his way. And I do expand on this a little bit more in the next chapter with Nehemia. The art of using Wyrdmarks was lost. Only Nehemia's family knew how to properly use their power, just to tie those together. There's no ownership to the language, just that it's super old.
I just talked about this because I'm doing a YouTube series on ACOTAR. So go subscribe. With Sarah being so specific and calling the carvings in ACOTAR whirls and swirls, which is exactly how Selena described them. So once again, yes, we are psychos, but her wording is always extremely intentional. Like she is an intentional gal.
And we only touch a little bit on this. So if you go to Blakely's ACOTAR series on YouTube, like full expansion, full thought. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to that.
Back at the summit, everyone is freaking out, specifically Hunt and Rune. Gallery. Bryce snapped at Lahaba and Syrinx to hide. She tried to get away, but Micah grabbed her by the ankle and threw her across the room. Summit. Rune is convinced he's going to kill her. Gallery. Bryce says, you killed Danica and the pack. Micah, I enjoyed every second of it. He grabbed her by the neck and threw her across the room again. Summit. Rune yells, where the fuck is Ox? And Sabine is wide-eyed and fucking stunned. Gallery. Bryce crawls backward with her leg bleeding and a shard of bone popping out. Oh, I could throw up. And asks him why. He tells her that he's an investor in Redner Industries and then asks her if she knows what Danica did for them. She says part-time security work. He tells her that Danica tracked down people that Redner wanted her to find, including Ophion rebels who had been experimenting with synth magic. They dug into long-forgotten history and learned that the Crystallis demon's venom nullified magic, our magic. They did more research and found the source of the magic. Bryce stalled and was like, but the Styria doesn't approve of synth magic. How did Redner get away with it? Because he was an investor, they spun their experiments as a drug for healing. In the trials, humans could heal faster than any medwitch or fate power. But when Veneer took it, well, it wasn't pretty. She probably sent you the footage. Bryce asked how long did she learn what he was up to. He says she's always stuck her nose where it didn't belong, always wanted to protect the meat. He goes on that it was no secret she was watching his trials because of her weak, vulnerable, half-human friend. Mike admits she was never selling synth on the boat. He dumped the synth in the streets because he knew with her hero complex, she would try to save all the lowlifes. When she stole the synth trial footage, he blackmailed her into stealing the horn for him. He underestimated her because she figured out the connection between the two. He admits to killing her because she hid the horn before he could repair with the synth and help his people. Good fucking Lord, that's a lot.
You just said something. You said the Ophion dug into long forgotten history and learned that the Crystallis demon venom was nullified magic. How? When all these are destroyed. So it's just like, how are they getting their information in Pangera? Who do they know? Who are they talking to?
Or what? Yeah, what library or former library did they get that from? Bryce says, I'm sure your power is enough to save his people. And he said, no, it's not. We need power beyond our world. The horn will open a portal and allow me to summon an army to decimate the human rebels. He goes on with more evil monologuing. Hell would resist me, but ancient lore whispers of other world that existed that would bow to a power like mine and bow to the horn. The one who possesses the horn at full power can do anything, perhaps establish oneself as an Asteri. And as for Greek mythology, there was a Titan goddess named Asteria, and she was the goddess of shooting stars. After the fall of the Titans, she got the hell out of there from Zeus's wrath after the fall of the Titans, and she leapt into the sea, becoming the island of Delos, which just makes me wonder about all those islands out there, and if Sarah took some inspo.
Everything I hear about Zeus, he's such a dick.
Yeah, he's not fun. I don't like him.
He is HBIC, obviously, of Olympus, but like he's an asshole. Like, there's not one great story written about him where like Zeus is a cool guy. Like, no, he sucks. I just want to share, like, what a dick. I just noticed.
Fully agree. Bryce accuses him of killing the CCU students, but he was actually like, babe, not me. They were slaughtered by a satyr on synth, and I'm sure the guilt ate Danica up. He admits he waited for Philip Briggs to be released, went to their apartment, disabled the pack of devils with his power, injected her with synth, and then let her tear herself and them apart. Danica never told him where the horn was. The last 2 years, he had been looking for the horn and called the Crystallis demons to track it down for him, but nothing worked. But he knew if he gave her the chance for vengeance and her love for Danica would help her solve the case. So he planted a seed in the mind of the Autumn King. He made a remark about the Fae's power dwindling and would have his Starborn hunt for it.
Rune had growled at his father. He played you like a fucking fiddle. And it sounds like an attack on fiddle players of the world. So not only have we offended them, according to somebody, but so has Rune.
You guys be careful online. Ever making fun of Tamlin and his fiddle. People will come after you.
They will come for you.
Or they just come for me. Something about my face triggers that girl. Summit. Rune can't believe it. Every time he went looking for it, he had the urge to go see Bryce. He thought it was something in the library. Hunt tells him, your starborn connection to her and the horn must have overcome even the Arcasian amulet. That is quite the bond, Prince. Gallery. Mike admits he injected Tertian, the acolyte, and the temple guard to prompt Bryce, and he bombed the White Raven to set up the rebels. Oh, and he also framed Hunt as ruining the apartment building to remind Bryce that he was a killer. When Hunt's phone location pinned at the club, Micah said that he knew the gods were helping him along the way. And this line was just a good reminder, like we saw in Tog, that the gods aren't always good. And kind of what Kai just said about Zeus, they kind of suck. And I think there was a line that they play a different set of rules. I think they were talking about Deanna, right? When they bring her back in. Like,
Yeah, literally, we talk about it in
yeah,
the
in the beginning,
episode,
right?
so
Yeah. Like they play by a different set of rules. So it's possible that the gods were helping him along, but unclear.
I mean, literally, just to go with your point that the gods helped Elena along, it's so she can just herself, she's got to sacrifice herself. They aren't necessarily great.
No. Bryce asked him when he thought it was her, and it was the night it attacked Athy in the garden. So then he sent it again, and it was after she took her amulet off. He saw pics of her back on Hunt's phone, and he knew it was one of Danica's last locations because he was able to see it on Hunt's account. Bryce asked how he was sure it would work, and he just told her the power would remain no matter what shape it was in. He goes on saying Danica knew the Arcasian amulet would hide you from any detection, magical or demonic. Bryce brought up Philip Briggs, and he was like, he's an idiot. No one would believe him anyways. So, Micah says whether it's fashioned as a horn or a necklace or a powder mixed with witch ink, its power remains with its power. Micah said whether it's fashioned as a horn or a necklace or a powder mixed with witch ink, its power remains. Just wanted to point out it's very interesting that he said necklace because I was thinking what other necklaces do we know of? We have the Eye of Elena, aka the goddess, but that was technically considered to be a lock. But Aelin was able to open the gate to the gods' world and send them through. So just interesting little tidbit. Summit.
Don't worry, we talk about I have Elena more.
I know we do. I was like, this all ties in today. Summit. Sabine realizes she's leading him along to get a full confession. Micah reaches out in his pocket, pulls out a needle, tells her the horn's remnants are in her flesh, so when he pokes her, not the fun poke, the healing properties will fix the horn. And he doesn't give a shit about opening a portal in Crescent City because the bennies are worth it. She tried getting away, but he stabbed the needle in her thigh. Her body started healing, but not that protruding bone quite yet. If I saw that, I would throw up. Bryce grabbed a book from the shelf, and a golden light erupted from the book, and Micah couldn't get to her. But he took Syrinx. Bryce screamed, and he threw Syrinx in with the knock. So dramatic.
Chapter 78. Syrinx, not a strong swimmer. Micah, big prick. He's throwing magic left and right, trying to activate that horn on her back. And I want you to know that when I picture a horn, I picture like a French horn. I know that that's not right because I don't even think that existed, but that's what I picture on Bryce's back.
I don't know really what I picture. Like, is it like a calling horn?
Like the Viking type horn is what I think it should be.
Like a megaphone, but like what an elf would use in like Lord of the Rings.
Yes, that's what I think is what it should be. That sounds accurate, not a French fucking horn or a tuba.
But that seems more fun.
Danica did a little prank. They were talking about the other horn, but then it's a French horn.
Would it be like can play music every now and then with their tattoo? Like, what was that?
If you hit it with magic just right, it plays a little song. Her and Tamlin starting a band. Micah's back shot didn't feel great, and Micah was not impressed that nothing was happening. He wanted to be the one to open a portal to another world. Bryce had figured out what she was, after the Crystallis attack. She was suspecting the tattoo on her back was not an alphabet, not one from Midgard at least. As I've said, I also think the tattoo on her back was. Oh no, as I've said, I don't think it's an alphabet. I think it's word mark. Mike is ready to cut out the French horn from her back, so Bryce throws a book at him. The greenish light from it blasted his ass into the bathroom where Lahaba used a book to lock Micah in there temporarily. Back at the summit, everyone's watching. Hunt was asking Rune to help her. Of course, Sandy is like, not my problem. She even shut Hunt up. They watched as Lahaba was told to get the tank speeding dock running. Bryce got some extra air in those lungs and hopped right in and began her ordeal.
So it made me think. I did look up and I forgot about it. The greenish light that blasted him into the bathroom. I looked to see in the whole series where else, or like the whole Maasverse, where else we had greenish light. And it was always with the Valg going into different worlds. That was the only time we saw a greenish light.
Interesting. Take note of that so we can remember that for later.
And with just we obviously think it's Wyrdmarks, but just the peril of what Rowan did with Aelin to make sure that she came back with the Wyrdmark on his back, and then what she did, that's what it just makes sense. Full circle.
I love it. I love when Sarah Janet is like, here, we don't want you to work too hard. I gathered some things connecting the books Bryce brushes her hand against in the beginning of this chapter to the Maasverse for you. So, on the Divine Number, The Walking Dead, The Book of Breathings, The Queen with Many Faces. These are all the books that her hand brushed up against. So first up, we have on the Divine Number. We talk about divine numbers literally all the time, specifically the number 6 and 7, not to be confused with 6, 7. If you have kids that are around 8 and up, you know.
Do you know high school
Next,
say it all the time too? They run around saying
yeah,
6, 7. Fucking
that's
losers.
why I said 8 and up, because it's
Right?
literally, if you are under the age of 20, you say it.
Fucking dorks.
It's embarrassing. As we were like, suck it. So next up, we have The Walking Dead, and it was mentioned in Throne of Glass. It would pop up in the library whenever Aelin asked Selena needed it. It reeked almost like soil. There was an illustration of a twisted, half-decayed face grinning at her, flesh falling from its bones. How had this escaped the burnings? How had any of these books escaped the purging fires 10 years ago? Hollow, mad eyes of the monsters were full of malice. It seemed to look at her. This is all just on the book. Unlike the Great Library of Orin, here there were no master scholars to protect the invaluable books. It's mentioned several times and used for spells. Selena used it to open doors. It taught us that there has to be power in blood for certain spells, going back to what I said literally in the last chapter. There is a moment where Selena, we didn't know she was alien yet, is looking for The Walking Dead, a book with a single word mark written on the spine in blood red ink. It was full of word marks, every page covered with them, and with words in a language she didn't recognize. Nehemia had said it was secret knowledge, that the word marks were so old they'd been forgotten for centuries. Titles like this had been burned with the rest of the books on magic. She had found one in the palace library, The Walking Dead, but that had been a fluke. The art of using word marks was lost. Only Nehemia's family knew how to properly use their power. Once again, there's no ownership to the language, just that it's super old. It's giving language of the universe. Just to come full circle, we're really driving all of our points home.
And just the point about The Walking Dead is that book was in Tog, right? And the universes that was in the past, and the fact that it's still here, it's the same continent. I stand by it. Thank you, Sarah Janet, for always proving our points.
So then we have the Book of Breathings in ACOTAR, and let's talk about how it was made. So they had to visit the bone carver for it. The carver shares when the cauldron was made, its dark maker used the last of the molten ore to forge a book, the Book of Breathings. In it, written between the carved words, are the spells to negate the cauldron's powers or control it wholly. But after the war, it was split into two pieces. One went to the Fae, one to the 6 human queens. It was part of a treaty, purely symbolic, as the cauldron had been lost for millennia and considered mere myth. The book was believed harmless because like calls to like. and only that which was made can speak those spells and summon its power. No creature born of this earth may wield it. So the High Lords and humans dismissed it as little more than a historical heirloom. But if the book were in the hands of something reforged, you would have to test such a theory, but it might be possible. So then, that the High Lord of Summer possessed their piece and that the reigning mortal queens had the other entombed in their shining palace by the sea. Prithian's half is protected with blood spells keyed to Summer himself. The one belonging to the mortal queens, they were crafty when they received their gift. They used their own kind to spell the book to bind it so that if it were ever stolen, if, let's say, a High Lord were to winnow into their castle and steal it, the book would melt into ore and be lost. It must be freely given by a mortal queen with no trickery, no magic involved. Such clever, lovely creatures, humans, reunite both halves of the Book of Breathings, and you'll be able to nullify the powers of the cauldron, hopefully before it returns to its full strength and shatters that wall. So this is clearly after Feyre had joined the books together, which our faves in Prythian, just to continue tying ACOTAR to all of this, our faves in Prythian needed to nullify the powers of the cauldron and sentient, since it talks to Feyre. It actually says Princess of Carrion, which honestly isn't talked about enough. Why did the book identify her as that? It's literally part 1 of Act War. Why is she the princess of decaying flesh? I feel like there's more to that. I mean, she fucks up the Spring Court and has 86 different people, but the title is very ominous. It also sings life and death and rebirth, sun and moon, and dark, rot, and bloom, and bones. Hello, sweet thing. Hello, lady of night, princess of decay. Hello, fanged beast and trembling fawn. Love me, touch me, sing to me. Nesta was in the room for that, so I think it could have been saying hello to everyone. Lady of the Night, Feyre, Princess of Decay, Nesta, Fanged Beast, Reese, Trembling Fawn, Elaine, who the fuck knows though. And then lastly, the book, The Queen with Many Faces. And this one I don't see talked about as much as the other two. But it is giving three-faced goddess that is mentioned in Crescent City and the three-faced goddess from Throne of Glass. So the witches in Crescent City, they looked like humans. Their considerable magic and long lives marked them as veneer. Their power mostly passed through the female line. All of them deemed Savitas. The power was inherited from some ancient source that the witches claimed was a three-faced goddess. But witches did pop up in non-magical families every now and then. Their gifts were varied from seers to warriors to potion makers, but healers were the most visible in Crescent City. In the last chapter, I talked about the Torch Hesme, and Blakely and I saw that they essentially had 4 satellite offices for that bad boy all over the southern continent. Where do we think Lunathion is? The southern continent. So we have more healers visible in Crescent City, and I saw it tracks.
It completely tracks, but what you were saying about their gifts were varied from seers, which we have obviously a lot of that, warriors, which we could look at Manon. Do you want to just popped in my head? More.
Tell me more.
Just with the rumors about Moore being a witch, of how Reese says that he'll send her in at the end if like everyone else is dead, essentially, and we think about possibly it being the yielding, just using like just them saying that a gift would be being a warrior, instantly in my head all of a sudden I just went to more. So I'm just curious if that's it, because they don't really talk about witches being warriors. I mean, we have Manon, but just something that tickled my brain.
Triggered another thought.
Yeah. I was like,
So that's the three-faced goddess mentions in Crescent City. In Throne of Glass, we have the witches who honor their three-faced goddess, the Maiden, Mother, and Crone. Manon and Aelin are discussing Aelin's Eye of Elena, which we have discussed. But reminder, Manon tells her that is the three-faced goddess and drew a rough line in the centermost circle in the eye shape where they overlap. The eye of the goddess, not Elena. And then when Aelin and Manon, I know it's Manon, but my cat's name is Manon, so it is what it is, guys. Aelin and Manon are able to view Elena's memory. In the memory, there aren't just gods, but beings of a higher, different existence. The one with 3 faces studies her. And again, the 3-faced one said, tell Brandon of the wildfire, what occurred him, tell him the price his bloodline shall one day pay. Tell him to ready for it. And I bet she was a queen in whatever world she was from. Anyway, that ties the last book in. I also want to point out when Aelin and Manon are in Elena's memory, it says not just gods, but beings of a higher, different existence for whom time was fluid and bodies were things to be shifted and molded, who could exist in multiple places, spread themselves wide like nets being thrown. They were as mighty and vast and eternal as a human was to a mayfly. There's a mayfly reference again,
Mm-hmm.
just like Hunt. They had not been born of this world. Perhaps had become trapped here after wandering through a word gate. We will wait. There must be a price and a promise. Name it. Once again, worlds can exist on top of each other. We have come full circle again.
Okay, I know we're just driving this fucking point home, but especially on social media. But once again, if we go back to our very first episode of Crescent City coverage, we talk about how we believe the goddess Luna is the same as Deanna from Throne of Glass, which what you just read about the gods being a higher existence at a time and being fluid and they could exist in multiple different places just proves our damn point.
It's literally in writing in Throne of Glass. Guys, we aren't making it up. Multiverse can happen.
On top of the writing that we know of in Meryl's research in ACOTAR. Why don't people believe us? Chapter 79. I will just mention that while I was writing this last night, I sobbed. I even sent a picture to Kylie. I posted on social, but I had snot going down my fucking face. I had read this book how many times in the last couple of months on top of before? Like, I'm not even ready to read this, but I'm probably going to make it.
I love you.
Thanks.
It was a full-fledged ugly cry.
Oh, yeah. I even took a picture once and I didn't send it to you because I was like, this is giving Kim Kardashian being an ugly crier. I was like, no, this does not. I mean, I knew I was ugly in the pictures I sent you, but I was just like, what the fuck? Just crying. So let's go, guys. Let's get into this. I'm not going to cry.
Let's go, girls.
Let's go, girls. Shania, this isn't the vibe, but let's go. The water was a frigid bitch. She refused to let fear take over. She grabbed for Syrinx, who was limp like Micah's dick. She put Syrinx on the platform and told Lahaba to do chest compressions, but then clawed hands wrapped around her ankles. He pulled her down and they started water wrestling. Bryce grabbed that fucker by the balls hard and he let her go. Lahaba sent the platform down in the water again. Bryce swam her little heart out and got out of there just in the nick of time. Over at the
my hands are already sweating, just
like,
so you know. Like, I know.
I'm holding my hands
My
like
hands are
I'm like, I wrote it. I don't know why I'm like this.
well, now I'm reliving it and you're stressing me out.
Sorry. Summit, the peanut gallery, also super fucking stressed. Syrinx still wasn't breathing. She kept doing the compressions. She needed to get out of there, and everyone at the summit was begging her to through the screens. Syrinx thrashed and vomited water. Bryce told Lahaba they have to run now before he gets out. She was limping like a crip because of the knock gas, and she would not leave Syrinx, and Lahaba knew it too. See, I had to make stupid things so I wouldn't cry, but I did. Okay. Bryce was a third of the way up the stairs when she realized Wheelie was not with her. She told her to forget the books. Lahaba tells her, you won't make it in time, baby. Bryce is like, oh no. Sorry, I already feel emotional. Bryce is like, we still have to try. And Lily's like, not we, you. Bryce's voice cracks. You can't. Lahaba tells her the enchantments won't hold much longer and she's going to buy her time. Bryce pleads with her and says, let me do this for you, BB. For you and Syrinx. Bryce tells her, "You're free, Lahaba. I traded with Jessica for your freedom. I wanted to throw you a party and surprise you. I bought you, and now I set you free." And the sweetest little snoop we know says, "I know. I peeked in your drawer." And even though the croc-wearing monster was trying to break through the door, she laughed. Bryce begged her, "You're a free person. You do not have to do this. You're free, Lahaba." And then our Lily hits us with, "Then let the world know."
Did you know that I just tuned you out? I stopped listening to you so I don't get emotional.
Lily hits us with, "Then the world,"
Why you have to add the line?
because I wanted to give it to her. It's important. Like, I have to pour one out for the fucking little
I
homie.
can't look at you. I can't look at you.
Don't look the other way. Then let the world know
It's
that
contagious.
I know, so don't look at me. Then let the world know that my first act of freedom was to help my friends. Bryce tells her she loves her. And Lahaba says, "I love you always, BB. Go." God damn it. So Bryce did. She ran up the stairs as fast as she could. Bryce glanced back at Lily, and she was burning a deep, unfaltering ruby red and started moving. Bryce could hear her chant, "I'm descendant of Ranthia Drawl, Queen of Embers. She is with me now, and I am not afraid. My friends are behind me, and I will protect them." Bryce shoved the library door shut, sliding to the floor. Really? Really? So here I am.
What? You wrote it all.
No, I did not. Listen to what I have to deal with. Here I am crying about Lahaba. This fucking bitch changes what I wrote, and she changed it too. I said, Bryce shoved the library door shut, sliding to the floor as she slobbed on her knob. No, I know it's kind of,
I'm crying, but for different reasons than you.
you're a knock. You're a monster.
That's fine. I was hoping you would read it, but then I saw your face just like, no.
Back at the summit, they watched Lahaba. Get your shit together. Glowing as bright as the heart of the star. Okay. Back at the summit, they watched Lahaba, glowing as bright as the heart of the star, doing her chant. The bathroom door began to curl open. Lily launched her power. 2 blows perfectly hit 100,000 gallons of water. She kept saying, "My friends are with me. I'm not afraid." Oh, no. Yeah, no, that was right. Lily launched her power. 2 blows perfectly timed to 100,000 gallons of water. She kept saying, "My friends are with me and I'm not afraid." One by one, the angels of the 33rd rose to their feet, Rune and his friends, and they put their hands on their hearts as Lily tried so hard pushing that glass wall. The bathroom door tore open. Micah looked like a crazed, glowing asshole, and Leela said, "This is for you, Syrinx," and slammed her palm in the glass, and 100,000 gallons of water exploded into the library. So yeah, she died.
You know, what an emotional roller coaster this chapter has been.
I literally
We both
started
cried. We
crying.
crew together.
Mm-hmm. I want to mention, Hunt said the door was an iron door. That Bryce did not slob on the knob of that, just want to be clear. But that was an iron door, which we know iron and history and Tog.
Chapter 80. Bryce had Syrinx in her arms. The knock was dead. Lahaba, sweet Lahaba, was dead, and Micah was postponed for a minute. Bryce crawled for the front door, but that was not where she was going to go. Lahaba's death has hit me harder, like literally, than any other book death. I have never cried so much over a book than I have for Lahaba's death. Spoiler alert for Fourth Wing. Well, Iron Flame. Like, Liam's a really close second.
Yeah, definitely. As a kid or a younger person, serious, I died. I cried a lot when he died. But I died.
So did he.
So did he. We both died. Yeah. I don't know why Lahaba hits us. What you wanna know what Lahaba, I was thinking about it, is Dobby. Like this Dobby. Like died for his friends and he came.
He came. Good for him.
He came.
Everyone at the summit watched Bryce sprint up the stairs to the Godslayer rifle. She opened the safe, pulled out a glass vial and drank a potion, grabbed the golden bullet, and assembled the rifle. Micah was surging up the stairs, but shout out to drugs, because girlfriend was quick. Some would say she was faster than Cassian being quick off the mark. She was Randall Salago's daughter, after all. She had her shot lined up in the 2 seconds that Lahaba had bought her. Bryce got him right in the head. And I just want to say the potion was the antidote that Hypaxia gave her. Those at the summit didn't know Hypaxia gave her that. So everyone just thought she was taking a little drink. Smart gal for putting it in there, though. I would say she's called and blessed.
I would agree.
Whew, what a doozy this episode was.
Yeah. Sure. It was a heavy one. Heavy information, heavy theorizing, and heavy sad. Thanks for crying through our journey with us today. We have a new episode every Wednesday. Join us next week as we talk chapters 81 through 89 and head into our final 2 episodes of Crescent City, House and Earth and Blood. And if you love ACOTAR, check out our YouTube series on ACOTAR.
Make sure you follow us on social media for all our latest updates, theories, and more new book goofing. Don't forget to hit subscribe and give us a review wherever you listen. All links are in our info, you giggling gal pals. We will see you next week.